Alright everyone, welcome to another vlog. Today I'm out in Huntington Beach and today I'm going to work on some of my cinematography techniques. I have a big trip coming up here in a couple of months to Southeast Asia, and I really want to level up my cinematography skills. One of the things that I love a lot are time lapses and hyperlapses, and I want to shoot some of those while I'm in Southeast Asia. And there are a couple of different ways to do that. One way is the traditional with a camera and taking individual shots as you move through the environment and then stitching those together later in post. Those are great. I think those are probably the best way that you can do it, but they are super time consuming. They take a couple of hours to do them. And another way to do that and to cut down the time is to actually shoot it with video and then speed it up and posterize it in post and then make it look like a hyperlapse. So that's what I'm out here to do today, is to try a few different techniques with a couple of different cameras and see how it all works out. The ways that I'm going to try doing that today, first off, I'm going to use my Zhiyun Crane M gimbal. I'll use this to stabilize the camera as I move through the shot. And then the different cameras that I'm going to use, one is I'm going to use my GoPro Hero 4. It's a little outdated, but hey, it works for me still. But the GoPro has a time-lapse mode that works really well. So if you saw my Tokyo video, you saw me at, I think it was the Akasaka Temple, which you can see here. So I use the time-lapse video mode and give that a shot. I'm also going to use my Sony RX100 Mark V. I'm going to use a couple of different techniques for this one to try them out. One is to shoot it straight in video and then in post, speed it up, posterize it, and then turn it into a hyperlapse. But also the RX100 comes with Sony's Play Memory apps, and you can use those to shoot time lapses. I've done that before. It's actually not that hard to use. So today I'm also going to put it on the gimbal and then walk through the environment and shoot a hyperlapse with it, see how that turns out. Alright, so last, after the GoPro and the Sony camera, I'm going to use my drone. I've got the Mavic Pro here. There's a couple of different techniques you can do that with the drone. One is it has a multiple shot mode that you, again, kind of a more traditional hyperlapse kind of process. You take individual photos and stitch them together later. Another method is to use just the video, and then again, just like the other videos, speed that up and posterize it and turn it into a hyperlapse. So I'll give that a shot. Also, with the drone, I downloaded the DJI Ground Station Pro app. That's an iPad app that you can actually use to map out your paths and set up a whole bunch of different waypoints, and then you can position the camera in the drone direction and everything like that. So you can actually produce some reproducible shots. So I'm looking forward to that. Another technique I saw recently was to use the Ground Station Pro app to map out your path and then shoot that at multiple times. Shoot that during the day and then shoot that at sunset, and then stitch those and blend those two videos together so you get a nice kind of day to evening transition time lapse. We'll see how that works out. So I've got about, let's see, 2.5 hours before sunset, so it's a lot of shooting to do before the sun goes down and my light conditions start changing rapidly. So we'll see if we can get all that done. Let's check it out. Alright, first up is going to shoot with the gimbal and the Sony RX100 Mark V. Let's give this a shot and see how it works out. Alright, that was the Sony RX100 in the video mode. Now we're going to try out the Sony RX100 in the time-lapse mode. We're going to run down the pier, see how that looks. Let's check it out. All right, those two were the Sony RX100 in the time-lapse mode. Now I'm gonna switch it up and change over to the GoPro and shoot in its time-lapse mode and see how it does. Let's do it. Balancing is a pain in the ass. All right, that was the GoPro, and next up is going to be the drone. So I'm going to do a couple of different things with the drone. One, I'm going to use the intelligent flight modes to pan around the pier and get a video of it that way. And then I'm also going to try out the Ground Station Pro app, see if I can map out a course and do a couple of rounds of that and see how that works out. Let's check it out. All right, got all that footage shot, so let's get home, get it into post, and check it out. All right, everybody, I am back home after shooting those hyperlapses. So I've done a little bit of post-processing on them. If you've been watching the video so far, then you've seen them and seen how they look. So I just want to finish this video up with a couple of thoughts that I had on doing those hyperlapses. One is, I compared doing a video and then turning that into a hyperlapse, and then I did it with the time-lapse mode on the cameras. And I think for kind of longer hyperlapses, the time-lapse mode is the way to go. You can do the hyperlapse with the video, but I found in post-processing it was really difficult to work with. Taking a several minute video, compressing that down, changing the rate of it, so the speed duration, so it's much faster, posterizing it, and then and using warp stabilizer to stabilize it. I found that it took forever. I mean, I've got a relatively new iMac, and it still was a real hassle to work with. So using the time-lapse mode, I thought was much more effective and much more efficient and would work better in post-processing and everything like that. The other thing that I learned was that using the gimbal, I got a lot of kind of lateral or yaw drift as I was walking. I don't know if that was from me just kind of turning and then my hand on the gimbal would start causing it to pan. So I need to use one of the other gimbal modes. The Zhiyun Crane comes with a couple of different gimbal modes. One of those is a lock mode where you can keep the pan locked. So I'm going to try that next time and see how that turns out. With the drone, I found that you could do it, as you can see in the video earlier, but I found that keeping the position of the subject in the frame locked was really, really difficult. Even when I was using the waypoints and the camera position, keeping that locked well was really difficult. I actually filmed several things that I couldn't use because the camera kept moving in the subject in the frame kept moving, and it just was unusable for the hyperlapse, which is oh well. So that's going to just require, I think, more practice in seeing if I can get it to work well. I used, of course, a lot of warp stabilizer in post to smooth out the various videos, but what I found was, and I've seen this before, what I found with warp stabilizer is that it only works well when there's a clearly defined horizon or horizontal lines in the frame. If you've got a lot of vertical busyness going on, like when I was there on the pier and I was walking down the pier, there was a lot of vertical and not a lot of horizontal going on in the scene, and warp stabilizer just completely didn't work. It completely failed. So just be thoughtful about that when you're using it and what you're framing in the scene, and then when you want to use warp stabilizer later on. Overall, I think I learned a lot in this exercise, and I'm excited. I'm actually going to go out again and shoot some more hyperlapses and see if I can just improve even more. I thank you guys for coming along with me on this journey. If you like these videos, you find them interesting, hit like. If you like seeing the videos in general, go ahead and hit subscribe and leave a comment down below what you think. Thanks a lot, guys. Check you out in the next video.